Hi, everybody. My name is Megan France. Currently, I am a fourth and fifth grade teacher at Insight, Pennsylvania Cyber Charter School. Um, I am getting my Master's of Education and Curriculum Assessment and Teaching with a concentration in online teaching. A little bit about me. This picture that I have up here is a picture of myself and my fiance. This was a part of our engagement photos. And this has my two dogs. So this is basically a picture of me and my family. So I really love this picture. So this is my little dog Duke and my bigger dog Milo. So the purpose of my action research project was to basically the problem was that I wanted to create a community in of learning in my online classroom, and I wanted to do that through the use of peer feedback. So I wanted to create a more student-centered online classroom that the students were really excited to come to class for. Since it is an online classroom, the students really have the option of not coming to class if they're not having fun with it. So I wanted to make my class fun where the students just really wanted to come and learn in class. So I really wanted to try to incorporate as many small group activities as possible in my classroom, but the way that the online program works, I can't be in every single room at the same time. So I created a student director program that was helping me to have the students give each other feedback, and then helping alert me if a class or if a room needs my immediate assistance. My research questions were what effect do student directors have on the classroom engagement as a whole? What effect does peer feedback have on student understanding of the content? Does training on peer feedback help students to give and accept helpful feedback? And does the tag model help students to give helpful feedback to peers? So the tag model is a model that I used with my students. It is the tag model stands for tell something you like, A, ask a question, and then G, give a suggestion. So a little bit of background and the literature work that I really helped me to implement the peer feedback aspect of my research project. So I used Nilsson and Shun, and they were talking about in the article different types of feedback used in the classroom and then their effects on student growth based on the implementation of the feedback. So depending on the way the feedback was given, really had an effect on whether or not students were going to actually use the feedback that they got from peers. And then Durham stated that students enjoy peer feedback because the timeliness of the feedback and their ability to make revisions based on quick, helpful feedback. Now, this one was a really big one for me because this kind of helped to build my student director program, because I really wanted to make sure that I was using my student directors in an efficient way so they were able to, give feedback promptly and then, come and get me and if they needed help giving feedback, and it could be a little bit more timely. So the students really enjoyed that. And then the last one, Nilsson outlined the issue of typical peer feedback in which students are responding to teacher questions about peers' paper. That makes you kind of think of like, is this good or is this bad? So if you talk about like content specific questions such as what are one or two adjectives you would use to describe the paper's title or something like that, it's more in like an academic aspect rather than just saying is this paper good or bad. So from that, I kind of found and adapted the tag model to fit the needs for my classroom. I used a lot of qualitative data collection techniques, and I really had the unique ability to be able to go back and watch all my lessons that were recorded, so I could really kind of pay attention to things that I missed, and I was observing during the classes, but then I could also go back and kind of observe after the fact, as kind of just, watching what was going on in the classroom rather than just being, observing during the class as well. So there was participant observations, a parent survey, and a student survey, and then some artifacts that were collected. That was the biggest data that was used for my research. So I created this chart that was based from the parent survey, and the first question that I asked was, um, does your student understand the feedback given from the student director? And this one kind of shocked me because it was 100% of the parents said yes, absolutely, they understand the feedback. So they understood the feedback. And then question two was, does your student enjoy coming to class because of the student director program? And I got mostly yes. A lot of my parents said yes, and I did have a couple of no's. And I kind of followed up with a couple of the parents, and that's where these explanations come in. I got one of my parents said that they enjoy teaching students, and that through teaching others that he's learning himself. So this was one of my student directors parents that gave this feedback. And then I followed up on my no's, and then I found that certain students are just not, they don't really like working with other students, and then they're just not comfortable talking to the group. So those are things that I am working on in my classroom, and I use that feedback to kind of adapt the way the class works a little bit. Another question that I used, this really helped to shape how I was using the tag in my classroom, the feedback. It really talked about here was a lot of my parents said no, they didn't enjoy the student didn't know how to use tag. And I followed up with my no's, and they said that they really needed more help, they needed help with tag, and they needed more practice. So um, with that, I was able to kind of use a little bit, make it a little bit more scaffold, so that the students had like sentence starters before just starting them off, giving those feedback without, having a basis to base that on. So that really was a huge eye opener in my classroom with that feedback as well from the parents. So this is an example of kind of where we started with the writing, and then with the feedback, it kind of built. So this is like student example of where they started at the beginning, and then this is from feedback. This is where they ended with their writing. So this is the same student. This was back at the beginning of the program, and then this was towards the end, this Thanksgiving turkey. And this is probably one of my favorite artifacts from this was kind of towards the beginning, where I had to give some like basic ideas. And then this one I just really enjoyed because this was a student director kind of giving feedback and also helping another student to understand feedback. And he highlighted, specific words that came with sentence starters that were helping to give, student feedback. So that was really one that I really enjoyed this one, and I love to see the growth. And so basically, the conclusion for my program was that the Student Director Initiative has made students more excited to come to class. It's really increased our classroom community, where students feel comfortable, talking to each other and asking each other for help, which I've just really enjoyed. I've just enjoyed that I've created that environment for them in an online setting. I was just happy that that was, a result of this research project. And the program is going to continue through the year because I think the students really enjoy it, and I'm going to, increase it a little bit more in the small groups as well. So, and I think that for me, it was really important for me to listen and do the feedback, and do a following up on the feedback with the learning coaches. So they said no, they didn't like something, and then I was able to, follow up with them and find out, what's going on, why doesn't your student like this, or And then it really helped me to build not only a positive relationship with my students, but my parents as well. So thank you for watching, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.